Welcome back into the Long Shot Podcast. We are joined by an incredibly special guest, Hasan Minhaj, in his dressing room.
Green room, I think is
the green room.
Yeah. Green room is the technical name. Yeah.
Apologies.
Super luxurious. I mean, obviously, as you can tell, super swanky.
I was going to say, I've been in a lot of locker rooms.
Uh-huh.
I've never been in a green room, but I love the energy in here.
Really?
I feel like this is like pre-show jitters that I was just kind of building up right there.
Be honest, when you guys were walking back here, were you like, it's pretty low-key and not exciting?
I'll give you
pretty underwhelming.
A direct quote was, it's really nice on the outside. It kind of looks like a hospital.
100%.
When you get in there.
So much of show business is so underwhelming. Like if you ever see a live taping of anything, you're like, a lot smaller than I thought. Whereas with basketball and sports, it's the opposite. Everybody's bigger than you thought.
There is some truth to that. But behind, like underneath the tunnels of the arenas, it's not exactly glamorous in there either.
Nah.
Like the new arenas, they're all really, like Milwaukee's really nice, Golden State's is really nice.
Right.
Other than that, though, you get a lot of this same type of feel.
How's the food spread?
It very much varies.
Oh, wow.
And the best part is that each city tries to do their own local flair.
Yeah.
So you go to like Memphis and they'll like have barbecue out there, but it's not like, with all due respect to Memphis, it's not like good barbecue. So it's like Central Barbecue. You know, it's
every place is like that airport barbecue. So it'll be like Memphis airport barbecue. You know how every airport's like, we're trying to flex a little bit.
The local flair, 100%.
Yeah.
And honestly, some of them deliver. Some of them don't. I've actually heard that Miami has really good food, but we don't really get to experience that.
You don't eat any of the food on. Okay.
No. We get like food outsourced like as we're walking out the building. Anyways, this kind of got a little convoluted, but I am really excited to be back here. We are getting ready for the launch of your tour.
Yeah.
The Kings Jester.
Yeah.
Which sounds incredible. I tried to do some recon work on it. Pretty cryptic online.
Super cryptic.
Just says it's a one-man show.
Yeah. Follow up to Homecoming King. We're keeping it super cryptic.
Yeah. Whatever you're willing to share, or maybe you just want to keep it tight. I respect that too.
Yeah. I like the mystique.
I like the mystique. I like the mystique too. I like people coming in not knowing what to expect. So the last special that I did in 2017 was my first Netflix hour called Homecoming King. Anybody who didn't see it, it was kind of like it's like one-man show meets stand-up comedy. So it's theatrical in some ways where there's act structures and act breaks, kind of like a one-man play. But then also like there's big comedy runs and, we stage design it with lighting design, stage design, graphic design, the whole thing. And then I'm also doing, about 70 to 80 minutes of stand-up. This is kind of an evolution from that. If Homecoming King was almost like my debut album, it was like my introduction to America, introduction to the world. Hey, this is my story. I grew up in Davis. This was my family story, immigrating to the States, that whole thing. This is the kind of the next chapter of that. Family, fatherhood, all the scuffles and kerfuffles I've gotten into over the past 4 or 5 years of my career, those sort of things. Just kind of like a personal story and everything that's come since.
Yeah, you're incredibly thoughtful in your work. I've always been a fan of basically everything that you've done, and I'm just curious because you have, what is it, probably 90 minutes runtime for the show?
Probably, yeah, around 85, yeah.
So you have about an hour and a half of time, and you have, like you said, you've kind of been on hold for 2 years. Yeah, you have 2 years worth of material. That you can pull from.
Yeah. So I had a whole show written. Up until the pandemic, we were ready to go on tour. We were ready to shoot the special. Wow. And then the pandemic happened. Backdrop of the election happened. My wife and I had our second baby. Like all everything this new stuff that elevated and I think made the show even better. So then we were writing it for this past year and a half. And then as things started to open up, I mean, we just started workshopping it. I would take it like a year ago, we would take it outside, literally. Like I would take it outside, we would set up screens and like perform it for 40 people in like the middle of a field in New Jersey.
No way.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Wait, that's unbelievable.
Are you then looking for feedback?
Correct, 100%. Wow. And then we would just slowly build from there. And all it was just doing it chunk by chunk. Like, all right, let's do 20 minutes. Let's see if this 20-minute story translates. And then you just like work it and do 7, 8, 9, 10 shows. And Tyler, who you see here, we would just run around different states and do these kind of like secret shows. So for those of you guys who maybe are familiar with my work or have seen me, over the past 2 months, we've been doing secret shows, unannounced shows across the country. So we did a residency in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. They were bringing back local theaters and smaller kind of real intimate theaters. We did, 16 shows there. Went to Memphis, Tennessee, did a bunch of shows there. I was just in Delaware last week. They have like a small independent theater there in downtown Delaware, and we were out there, and it was really nice. Yeah, we were in New Haven, Connecticut, did like a little residency. So it was just trying to stay off the beaten path, not have like blogs and journalists write about the show when it's still cooking, and then take it to places where like people don't really get the arts, you know?
Yeah.
And so I kind of took a page from what Chappelle was doing. Chappelle did that in Ohio and had like his Chappelle summer camp, and I wanted to do that same sort of thing where I could work on the show in secret in front of like a small group of people.
Just watching Chappelle's special, I think that in that setting also connects in just an entirely different way. I mean, you're about to be, I mean, Miami is like the opposite of those settings in like in every way, shape, or form. I imagine there is a little bit of a different crowd coming here than there would be, you know, Club Live on a Sunday night.
Right.
But nonetheless.
I don't know who's going to come out. It's like people who live in Miami who like politics and like infographics. Like, right. You know what I mean? Like you like graphs and comedy, and you live in Miami, come to the show.
Come on in. Yeah. There's a market there.
Totally. I'm
100%.
I'm like comedy's free Zakaria kind of. You know what I mean? Like or
like that.
Yeah, like what Bill Simmons did with sports. You know how like there was sports journalism, and then Bill got really into like the numbers, and he would crunch all these crazy graphs, and there was like this whole subgroup of people. I think it's kind of similar the way comedy stretched that way too. There's like a whole group of us that are part of this new kind of generation of like comedians that storytell in different ways, which is really cool.
Well, but your stuff is such a hybrid, like you're talking about.
Totally.
And I know you've talked about you were enamored with Chris Rock, with like the mix of debate and
speech and debate.
Speech and debate, right?
Yeah.
And so what I was curious to hear from you is you have this mix of social commentary, political commentary, but with, you know, mixed in jokes to make it a little more palatable.
And personal storytelling,
Do you view yourself as like a comic second almost?
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's like, it's interesting because all my favorite artists are the ones that kind of stretch the medium. And I didn't realize this at the time. I remember when I first started my career, in terms of like pure club comics, I'm not a beast in terms of that. There's a bunch of comics that were like absolute room wreckers. Bill Burr, Patrice O'Neill, rest in peace, Greg Giraldo as well. Like just would wreck the room. Like honestly, like I could not follow them in a comedy club. And then when I started traveling overseas, there were a bunch of comedians in Europe. There's a thing called Edinburgh. And Edinburgh is basically a big festival for comedians from around the world. And you go to Edinburgh and you compete against all these different comedians who are performing in different languages. People are doing magic, puppets, like just wild shit.
I love it.
Like, it's
amazing.
wild.
I love it.
No, it's wild. But what I noticed is that what they did better than the Americans is every year a performer would come back with a new show. They basically put out an album every year. And they'd be like, this is my new 70 or 80 minute show. And they would take you on the story. And when I went back to the States, I basically realized, oh, like traditional stand-up comedy it's just like a joke mixtape. But what I was seeing at Edinburgh is people were putting together studio albums. Like there was an actual narrative arc to it. And then right around 2012, 2013, I started getting into that. And there was a group of us that were kind of doing that. Me, Mike Birbiglia, Colin Quinn, John Mulaney, Nick Kroll. We started working the kind of off-Broadway and Broadway circuit. And I didn't know that we were doing something kind of unique at the time. Bo Burnham's another example of that, as someone who's kind of stretching what traditional kind of stand-up comedy is. So I think the core essence is, are you a great storyteller? Because to me, the living goat right now is Chappelle. And Chappelle, to me, is a far superior storyteller. He's like a master of storytelling. Yeah. And then he can get in and do bits, act outs, mini skits and sketches within stories. But if you look at even one of the specials that he did recently, he opens it up. I'm going to tell you 4 stories about O.J. Simpson. And then he does 4 different stories about meeting O.J. Simpson. But that's a 4-act play.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's just kind of giving you, he tells you in advance, all right, this is what the structure of the show is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Sticks and stones. He establishes his thesis about like, all right, like I'm going to explain to you, you know, how far I'm willing to take jokes and my reasoning behind it. And he kind of centers it around that thesis. So those are my favorite comedians. I wanted to figure out my way of doing that. I've always loved visual storytelling. I've always loved sneakers and product and basketball commercials. And like when I figured out using the screens and stage design, it just kind of felt like that perfect mix for me.
Yeah, I was going to say, your shows are very much you, in that you do an incredible job of incorporating so many parts of your life that obviously are personal to you.
Yeah.
do you draw inspiration then, not just from people in the genre, but then like you reference like a studio album, like other forms of art, whether it be Kendrick Lamar or something of that sort of form.
So like after we wrap, I'll show you guys the stage design that we're doing right now. But I'm working with an incredible lighting director. His name's Jaffe Weideman. I haven't even told anybody this. This is kind of crazy. Jaffe Weideman.
Breaking news here on the Long Shot Podcast.
So shout out to all my theater nerds. You guys know Jaffe Weideman. Jaffe was the lighting designer for an incredible Broadway show called Dear Evan Hansen, which had an incredible soundtrack. Now they're making it into a movie. But Jaffe has done amazing work on Broadway doing both musicals, but capturing screens and storytelling. And when I called him, he's like, I've never done a pure comedy. And I love again, stretching culture both ways. Being like, Jaffe, you come into the comedy world, I'll come into the more dramatic Broadway world. Or a collaborator that I've worked with on the composing side twice is a really great composer named Ludwig Göransson. Ludwig Göransson did the composing and producing for Childish Gambino, the TV show Community, the soundtrack to Black Panther. He did the sound design and the composing for both Homecoming King and Patriot Act. He's the one who did the theme song. And like I said, it's one of those things where normally you wouldn't call a traditional kind of Hollywood composer to do that. But again, like I said, it's like I just take inspiration from other things where I'm like, oh, I really love that. I'm doing something that could really implement your skills. So one of the big inspirations for this show is just using really soft lighting and beautiful lighting design and color. And the big inspiration for me is this artist named James Turrell. And if you've seen Kanye West and Yeezus and a lot of the stuff that he performs in, it's the James Turrell like lighting, just using light. Drake, obviously in Hotline Bling, used the James Turrell cube in that box that's lit a certain way. So one of the exhibits that I love that James Turrell did is this really soft oval. And you can see that in the Dua Lipa video of IDGAF. So his kind of fingerprints on modern art and what you see in like modern stage performance has really infiltrated a lot of things. And I just wanted to implement some of that. And like I said, into like a comedy show to give the stories like a mood or a feeling.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I think that
I'm dorking out. I'm like completely nerding out.
No, it's fascinating.
Like, this is dork shit, but
I love it, and it's interesting because you see like
I just want to apologize to anybody who's like a basketball fan. They're like, yo, this is why is this dude talking about lighting design and like
Stop.
Yeah. He's talking about like, so there's this great TV composer. His name's Ludwig Göransson. They're like, dude, shut up. Yeah.
No, hold on. Our listeners are well-rounded folks.
Yeah, totally. We try to cover a variety of lanes.
Who would you say your listeners are, by the way, out of curiosity?
You could take this one.
25-year-old white guys.
Okay, that are into like what though?
I take that back. I'm kidding. It's largely basketball fans, obviously. I mean, this thing cycles largely around his season and his life in basketball.
Gotcha.
But we're the long shots. We talk about underdog stories, which relates to every walk of life. So hopefully we're touching.
I love, by the way, like that's why I wanted to do the podcast. I love the theme of that.
I appreciate
one of my so my company's called 186K Films, but one of the names that we tried to get, but we couldn't, fucking patent offices wouldn't let us get it. But was Never Picked Productions.
Oh,
yeah, because I feel like there's two stories. There's the people that have been kind of like knighted.
Yeah.
And then there's people who never got the record deal, never got picked, were like a low draft pick or were undrafted, and it's their story. And I think show business, sports, and music are very similar to that.
100%.
There's indie artists that like that could not get a record deal and are some of the most successful artists ever. And there's, how many Tom Brady like stories of like, I was a low pick, I was a second pick, I came out of the G League or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think that ethos is really has so been in the DNA of my work.
And I think in your fields, it's actually even more subjective that I'm sure you see so many examples of like the best maybe performer or comedian you've ever seen playing in front of or performing in front of 25 people.
It makes no sense. There's so many friends of mine that are so much funnier than me. Like I say that unequivocally. Yeah. They should be on this podcast. Yes. I can give you like 15 comedians that I know that I'm friends with that are like so much funnier than me. I keep that in mind all the time. I'm like, this is a subjective art form. Like I do work hard and some of the stuff that I've done
you got to check your box.
Totally.
Well.
But yeah, man. And that is the one thing that I do love about sports. Like it's I know there's a ton of bullshit in politics behind the scenes, and you guys can speak to that way more than I can ever, but there is something just so clean about that objective number. Like, this person dropped 50. What are you going to say? You know what I mean? Like, there's an actual 100%. Number to it.
At a certain point, the production will get noticed if you're doing it at a high enough level.
Yeah.
But I always say that like 20% of the NBA, and I'll just use the NBA for this example, 20% of the NBA will be in the NBA no matter what. Like, they're so talented that it's just like they are clearly elite, top tier.
Right.
The other 80%, which I very much fall into, more often than not needed some circumstantial, breaks.
Oh, wow.
Some opportunity, some things to go their way. Or the other side of it, like you said, had been knighted early on. Got an offer or had an opportunity to play for this AAU team, which led to this offer to this school, which led to, and then all of a sudden it just becomes so much easier to kind of make that progression.
Got it. So they're not in the top 20%, but there's this whole group that's in this like second or third tier.
I'm basically just kind of like, just kind of coming up with this, but it feels right. It feels right.
You're like, I'm doing this right now in my head. I actually don't think this is right, but I've committed to the premise of this.
This would be
point.
a way better stat if he put himself in the 20.
Yeah.
But like, there are people that are playing overseas professionally that are 100% talented enough to play in the NBA. Like,
wow.
I really believe that.
Wow.
Then it's just a matter of like situation and opportunity. Like I say all the time, and like you kind of
do not open. Do you know what sucks, Duncan? You're being so like diplomatic and kind about this because you've opened yourself up to the YouTube comments. Because there's so many YouTube comment motherfuckers that are like, oh man, I could have played in the L. Like, I do this all the time. Like, me and my friends, we joke about this all the time. I'm like, you have no idea how good players in the L are. You would get fucking smoked at 24 Hour Fitness. Like, if you pulled up to Chelsea Piers in New York, where like I play, it would be so fucking hilarious. I wish there was a show. Yeah. I wish there was a show just called where just like I host, like, oh, hi, I'm Hasan Minhaj. So many of you in the YouTube comments think you can play in the NBA. So what we've done is we've just dragged a bunch of you motherfuckers, Ball Drape 79, and here's just, I don't know, 15 players from the L that you've shat on, and then we just go like, and you just fucking 6 feet behind the line, just like wet, just like, all right, splash. Like,
the misconception is that like, because all I do is shoot threes in games, that like I'm incapable of
driving
like
or like making a left hand layup,
or like dunking. Like, people don't think I can dunk. Like, I'll like dunk and warm up. Oh my god, I didn't know you could dunk. I'm like 6'8". Like, if I couldn't dunk, like there'd be a really big issue. But YouTube comments get out of hand. I mean, the slander. And
it's crazy.
They pick
it's
like
worse.
It's
worse than comedy trolling. Like, when people are just like, cringe, this is bad. But I've just gone down on some like House of Highlights. I'm just like, let me just see what the civilians are saying. Let me just scroll and just paragraphs of analysis on Tyler Hero, and I just go, what do you think your chances are? I so want to do this because back when I was a kid, there was a thing. Do you remember the show? It was like, it was on Fox. It's where like Manute Bol had to like fight a kangaroo. Do you remember this?
Wait,
this is a real thing.
Did that?
Yeah, it was really sad. Way. It was really sad. Like a former Olympic athlete raced against a cheetah. It was called Man Versus. Tyler, look this up. I think it was called Man Versus. And they would basically make people do these insane things. But I just want to call it like, you know what I mean? Weekend Warriors Versus.
Yeah.
And just...
I think there was a show out there. Wasn't there like a Pros versus Joes show at some point that was out there? I don't think there was any basketball.
Someone had to like guard Shaq or something.
But I think they did like football, and it was like, it wasn't even like actual NFL players, but it was just like guys that were like close enough. And like, just go and like get
one of my favorites. This is on YouTube. This is a deep cut. This is just for the users. So Michael Jordan has this camp. I think it's in Santa Barbara or somewhere. But he basically just has like hedge fund executives who pay $250,000 to play in this camp. It's like all these guys who work for like BlackRock. So this guy basically puts up like there's this one guy who's like probably like my height, maybe 5'11", 6 feet tall. He's playing MJ. But my favorite part of the video is, can you score on Michael Jordan? And this guy who has like a receding bald spot here. Yep. And that's the star of the whole thing because they're shooting it this way. So you just see the bald spot. And he scores a left-handed layup. He floats it high off the glass and it goes in. And like all the campers are there. And just all these guys that are like our dad's age, like in their 50s, 60s, they fucking explode.
Oh, yeah.
Like he won the NBA finals. They're like, they go fucking ballistic. And MJ was like, all right.
How old is Jordan in this?
I mean, Jordan is probably like 4 or 5 years removed from
like Washington Wizards.
Yeah.
So he's still got a little something in the tank.
Yeah, I mean, he has jaundice in the eyes, but he always did.
Right.
But like, it's still Mike, you know, like 100%. He'll still get in the rocking chair and hit you with that like crazy fade, and the jumper's still wet, and he's also 6'6", and he does the thing like this, you know. Remember, he pump fakes like this and holds it up.
Just has
everyone goes crazy.
Yeah, and then just like all these guys who just like, you know, work at Deloitte like jump on it, you know. He just goes like this, and they're like. I mean, I would too. I'm horrible at basketball, but yeah.
Actually, I want to bring up your performance at the Celebrity All-Star game.
Okay.
I was pretty impressed. Seriously, like I mean this genuinely.
This is so...
No, the ability to finish with both hands around the rim.
Yeah. You actually have some lefty finishes.
Yeah, lefty finish.
You actually had like a pretty like nuanced finish where you finish with the left on the right side.
Yeah.
Which is like... You have to like watch or know basketball to know in that situation that you can like kind of float and shoot it with the left on the right side.
Tyler, clip this out and put this on social, please.
I was actually impressed.
I'm going to low key DM everybody that I went to high school with and be like, you know what time it is.
No, it's true. You hit an early 3 too.
And then, but you know what these motherfuckers are going to be like? It'll be like, oh yeah, but it was Duncan Robinson who said that. You didn't get Jimmy Butler to say that.
Yeah, right. Fair.
And I'm just like, shut up, man.
No, we covered
He's a professional athlete.
Yeah, not a lot of people care about.
He's in the 80%.
What I'm saying when it comes to this type
You're
of stuff.
in the league. I mean, that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
I mean,
we can keep complimenting. I cut you off.
I just want a breakdown of obviously
what my analysis was.
Well, you love the game clearly.
So love it. Yeah.
Played the game. Are we talking like high school all the way through?
I did not make varsity. Got cut.
See, I would have thought you were a varsity player.
I played up to JV and then got cut every time.
But then the love stayed though. You still just
man. I love. You know what I love about sports? It's really beautiful to have things in life that so matter but don't matter.
That's great.
Because the world is filled with all these things. When you know, oh man, I'm about to get like deeply philosophical. The world is filled with all these things that are. The stakes are so real. So once you become an adult, this is where like I realized I was like, oh shit, like the world just gets very real very fast with like mortgages, wives, children, 401k, all these just like things in life that are very real. Like if you don't handle it, it will come back and destroy your life, right? Like nobody tells you about these things, but like adulthood comes at you fast. And I just think our generation, I think we were babied too much. Nobody gave us financial literacy. Nobody like really taught us how to move in the world. All those things are super stressful. What's really beautiful about sports, what I love about sports and sports fandom is people can be Kings fans, Lakers fans, Red Sox fans, Yankees fans. They can yell at each other. They can curse each other out and they'll be like, let's get a drink. You can't do that with politics. You can't really do that with religion. You can't really do that with like, if you talk about money, there's so many topics where like once you get into it, it'll just like tear apart the fabric of society. It changes everything. Like everything gets super heated. Sports is the one thing too also where like if you were to take all of our stories, everybody in this room, our stories are so wildly different. And I'm sure there's a ton of global, political, social, economic, all baggage that defines our lives. But through sports, like we just have this like entry point. It's really beautiful, and I don't think enough people talk about that as like a foundational part of society. Like I think even if a nuclear missile were to like destroy Earth completely and we had to like recreate society from the ground, there would still be sports. There would still be some form of like politics to establish, you know what I mean? But this would be one of the tentpoles of society, and I think it's one of the healthiest, in my opinion.
I love the matters so much but doesn't matter.
You need things that matter but don't matter at all, which is why I was like, why does having a favorite TV show, a favorite movie, or a favorite like sports team matter so much? Because it's dope to have things in life that so matter but do not matter at all.
I will say it becomes an interesting twist when it becomes your profession.
Yeah.
Because then all of a sudden it does matter because it's tied into all those things that you're talking about.
Yeah.
But then at the end of the day, like I'll go through a stretch, and I've gotten better at this throughout my career.
Yeah.
But I used to go through a stretch where I couldn't make a shot, and I would just be like, I'm a very self-deprecating individual.
Yeah.
And I would go to like a dark place, or like as a team, we go to a dark place.
Yeah.
And it's always in those moments that there's like the voice in the room, whether it be, you know, Coach Spo or a leader of some sort, to kind of like bring in some perspective of like, all right, we're all playing basketball, a child's game. We're putting a ball in a hoop, and this is our livelihood. And it's like, it's back to that thing of like, okay, has this crazy sense of urgency, because in the moment you can't tell a fan watching a game that it doesn't matter.
It doesn't, because
it matters.
Yeah, yeah.
But then actually when you step away from it, it's like, all right, but it really doesn't matter.
Yeah. But the best people, like, we can curse on that. We can curse on this.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
I'll take it back. I'll take it back to just my industry. The best artists do not give a fuck. Like, if you're ever in New York City, you got to go down to the Comedy Cellar, because on any given night, some of your favorite comedians will pop in. Kevin Hart, Chris Rock, Chappelle, Michael Che, Michelle Wolf, like comics that I love that I think are doing such great work will pop in, and they'll do 15, 20, 25 minutes. And you'll see there's a bunch of comics that are like so trying to get on, that are like trying to make a name for themselves. Like they so want to pop. And the best comics are the ones who, like, from the moment they take the mic out of the mic stand, they don't give a fuck about anything. They actually don't even like care that like they're in a basement and like there's 80 people here tonight and there's a couple here. They almost just treat it like it's like just pure raw human expression. Like when I see Dave pop in, there's times he'll still have a backpack on. Like he hasn't even fully taken his backpack or jacket off. He's just like, it's like he's just having a conversation with 80 people. And I'm like, the degree to which he does not give a fuck is so high. And everybody here can tell. But I think that speaks to something even deeper, which is in performance. He's in a state of flow. Yeah. He's just flowing. And I wanted to ask you guys as athletes, like, so much of what comedy is, it is a cerebral art. But then when I talk to, and now I've pivoted to a new chapter in my career, acting and being on set, and I'm season 2 of the morning show comes out Friday, September 17th. So watch it.
Yeah, it'll be out.
Yeah, it'll be out by the time you guys see this.
Came out last Friday.
Yeah. Okay, great. Yeah, it'll be out. Reese Witherspoon, Jennifer Aniston, Billy Crudup, just up and comers that you haven't heard of. Myself.
Right.
No, but one of the things that I noticed with being on set with really great performers is their ability to drop into a scene like this, and so much of what I realized in performance is it is a physical act. It's actually not a heady mental thing. And I think the thing that fucked me up the most when I was playing high school basketball and trying out for the team, it's so dorky to say this in front of an NBA player, but like I so cared. Like I cared too much. Like I so wanted to impress the coach and like try to get on, and like I got to pass and then screen, and then there'd be people who didn't fucking pass, and they're just like, man,
go who?
They go, fuck the rules, and they would just like launch. Yeah. And like I remember coaches like, these are the rules, and I'm like, no. There's two types of people. There are rule followers, and I think that's that like 80% of the league, and then there's just straight up rule breakers that like are like, fuck the. Now you have to be talented enough to do it, otherwise you look like a complete idiot.
100%.
Right.
But there is a level of that like, I truly don't give a fuck attitude that informs like the flow in which you play. Yeah.
I think the first example that comes into my mind when you talk about somebody who does it at an elite level and doesn't give a fuck is Steph Curry. When he's on the court, he plays so free. When I watch his highlights, when I watch him play, when I watch him in a game, there is never any mental restriction over what he can do on the court. Yeah. And I think back to I started.
Was there a period of time where you played like that? Have you had moments like that in your career?
I'll answer that for him.
So in college, I wasn't a very good college player. I was like a mental pretzel. Like,
so you were not a good college player?
No, I was undrafted. I was a bench player in college.
But you played for Michigan.
He played for Michigan, and he was the 6th man of the year in the Big Ten. So.
But I seriously, I averaged 8 points a game as a senior. Like I was not some sort of like, oh, let's play through Duncan type of situation.
Yeah.
And
did you ever think you were going to make the league?
I mean, it was way down. Maybe basically, I thought it was much more likely that I was going to be playing in, Lithuania for $2,500 a month. Like, really? Truthfully. But what I was going to say, my first year in the NBA, I was on a 2-way contract. So I was back and forth between the G League and the NBA.
Yeah.
and I couldn't make a shot. I shot 28% from three in the opportunity that I got in the NBA. I played like 15, 17 games. So it was a small sample size. But nonetheless, I was so locked up in my mind because exactly that. I cared so much. I wanted to play well so badly. This was my one shot. I was an undrafted kid. Coach Spo, for whatever reason, was actually giving me opportunity to go out and play meaningful minutes. Right. And here I was fucking up every opportunity. And maybe, I don't know if you can relate to this, but like those mistakes compound too.
Yeah, totally.
You miss a shot, all of a sudden
it starts getting in your head.
Worse and worse.
Yeah.
And then what ultimately ended up happening is that I, through a lot of work of myself, but also like a ton of help from the coaching staff, my teammates, instilling confidence, they saw like an ability that I had, and they helped me tap into that not giving a fuck.
Right.
To the point where like, I remember when our season got put on pause going into the bubble, I was like watching some film from that year, and I was going through some of my shot takes, like not even makes. And I was thinking, I cannot believe that I was shooting these shots. Like, it was crazy for me to watch them.
Oh, wow.
And it was like, it was a crazy transition for me.
You didn't know why you took them? You were just
like they were just ridiculous, like 32 feet, hands in my face. Like, but I was just letting it fly. And that's, as a performer or a basketball player, I feel like that's when you're actually able to perform to the best of your ability because you're unlocked mentally.
Yeah.
And it sounds like that resonates with you from a performing standpoint in what you're doing as well.
Totally. For me, it's just like putting in a ton of reps. Yeah. So doing all these like little baby shows. I treat the way I've cracked it for me, it's like three things. I treat comedy as an art form, like football and jazz. And I'll explain that. What I mean by that is in show business, you get so many looks. I think of it like possessions at the line. So I remember with my morning show audition, you'll see when we open season 2, I have to do a song and dance number with Reese Witherspoon. I do not sing, I do not dance. But if you've seen the morning show, you know it's like an inside look into how morning television works. So I thought to myself, I was like, wait a second. I've played a fake news anchor for 7 years, 4 years at The Daily Show, 3 years at Patriot Act. I already have the wardrobe. I call Chris Rock. Chris Rock's like, bro, you don't even have to act. You already look like somebody who can do local news. Like, I would call you to tell me the 5-day forecast. He's like, Jennifer Aniston has to act. Yeah. Like she's a movie star. She has to act. Motherfucker, you don't have to act. And I'm like, that is like the sweetest burn I've ever, because it's like, it's so kind. You're ripping me a new one, but you're actually like giving me confidence. I'm like, I don't have to act. Like 80% of this is, do you look like the thing you're playing? So I'm like, that's great. But to take it back to football is when I had the audition, I was like, I have to make a moment happen. And one of the best pieces of advice I got was, hey, every time you have an opportunity to step up, give the person on the other side, the coaches, the casting director, the producers, whoever that is. In sports, it's probably coaching staff, GMs, whatever. Give them a problem. So when I read for the role was for the character's name was Eric Delgado. So I was like, oh, I think the character is Hispanic. I think they're looking for a good-looking young Latino actor to play across from Reese Witherspoon. I was like, I could stretch this a little bit because I got enough melanin to do this, but I can't sing, I can't dance. But I do know in a morning news segment, Michael Strahan isn't good at singing or dancing. But if you saw Michael Strahan kind of like singing and dancing with his mom, be like, hey, the New Year's are coming up, and like I'm gonna sing, I'm gonna sing Baby It's Cold Outside with my mom. You know what I mean? And you'd be like, oh, that's cute. Michael Strahan singing Baby It's Cold Outside for the holidays with his mom. So I call my mom. And it was the weekend of my sister's wedding. I call my mom into the room. I go, Mom, read this with me. We're going to sing Baby It's Cold Outside. So I go directly to Cam. I go, hey, I'm Hasan Minhaj. I'm reading for the role of Eric Delgado. I'm here to sing Baby It's Cold Outside. I don't sing, I don't dance. I'm here with my mom. But let's be honest, this would probably happen on our morning news segment. And then we play Baby It's Cold Outside. My mom has no frame of reference for the song. She doesn't. She's like, why is this man telling her not to leave? Like, this feels a little creepy, whatever. We sing the song. I'm okay at hitting my notes. I'm serviceable at best. My mom, who immigrated to the United States like in 1985, has no idea what this song is. Long story short, Jen, Reese, who are executive producers on the show, everybody on the show saw the audition, and they called and they were like, yo, we loved your audition. But what I did is I presented a problem. I gave the GMs, the coaching staff, a problem. They thought one thing, but I'm like, the team could use this. to take it back to football is that's a possession. And what you want to do every possession when you're at the line of scrimmage is do everything you can to pick up extra yardage. Because comedy is one of those things where you do hundreds of sets. So every set you should look at it like, hey, how can I pick up some extra yardage at the line of scrimmage? And if you don't fuck around and you treat every opportunity like that, you might get a Hail Mary. Like you might get just an opening and something happens in the room, something happens in that moment. So that's the first piece of it. The jazz part of it is this. I'm very new to jazz. All like the OGs that I look up to tell me like you should learn more about jazz. Jazz, even though it's an impromptu medium, involves an incredible amount of preparation and understanding of music and the musicality of how all different instruments play together. And the jazz part of it was for like someone who's very heady and in my head like me was, hey, do all these baby sets to build up your confidence. And then when it's time to audition, then when it's time to be on set with Reese or with Jen, or if you have to host the White House Correspondents' Dinner or whatever, something that's out of your comfort zone, you can then play jazz. You can see an opening happen, and then you know to take your solo, you know to step up to the spot. But that's only possible when I have this firm chair to sit on of like, all right, you got all the preparation, now just play. And so the moments that I've been really proud of are those moments that I've kind of gone for it and played jazz a little bit, and it's worked out, you know?
Man.
So to me, I've thought of my career like that, like football jazz, like, because I have friends that they'll fuck off. They'll take possessions off. They'll be like, nobody's really watching this show. Who gives a shit? This is going to be on Comedy Central. Nobody's going to see this. Like they treat these little things. They don't try to get extra yards on each possession, but it does add up, you know?
You talk about earlier how you have friends that are funnier than you or people that are smarter than you, and maybe it's arbitrary, but that is a pretty solid approach to anything.
Say that was poetic.
I mean,
no, I mean,
the football and jazz.
I don't think it's a mistake that you are where you are if that's your mindset. If that's your approach.
I think my strength, like I've held myself small. You're right on certain things. I think my strength is my ability to understand what things can I mix in a new and interesting way to create a new ice cream flavor. So I wasn't interested in just being a pure stand-up comedian. I wanted to rise above the two drink minimum. Like I'm not interested in just putting a mic in a mic stand and just being in front of a blue curtain. Like I want to put on a show. Now there has to be something between like comedy club and, you know, Drake concert. Right. Like obviously it can't
somewhere
be somewhere. Yeah, it would be insane if I just had like fire on stage. I mean, Kevin Hart had a special where he's making fun of that. Yeah, but it's an insane thing. It doesn't make any sense. You know what I mean? So it's figuring out, hey, what are elements you can do? I think that was like, it's my strength is like taking reference points that I really like and combining them into making something that's that feels familiar but is new.
Yeah. So since the pandemic, I have a lot of relationship with like different college coaches, and they've all reached out to me to like go on a Zoom and talk to their team or whatever.
Yeah.
And I kind of like got a little spiel together.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a similar sentiment, but yours is just way more thoughtful and put together. But I absolutely like it resonates with me, this idea of maximizing every opportunity in between the margins. Yeah. And I feel like that for my career has been an incredible strength of mine. Like I always say, like showing up is a superpower, like just the ability to continuously show up day in and day out. Yeah. And that's exactly that, like any opportunity to gain yardage. And then also like the jazz thing is perfect in that you're bringing your own. Like
when I watch Luka, I feel like he's pure jazz.
He's playing jazz 100%. Now we all can't play jazz like Luka for the record. I mean,
no. I mean, in your own way.
In my own way.
Like, what does jazz look like in your way?
So the creativity there is there in a different way, right? Like he has the ball in his hands. He's going to get 40 ball screens a game minimum. And mixed in with 15, 20 ISOs. Like it's a very different style.
Do you think if he shot 2 for 15, he would truly care?
No.
Cause
that's another thing about Luka.
But that's next level too. That's true. I don't give a fuck.
At his age, to be so young and to not give a fuck.
Yeah.
I mean, you see it with like Trae Young in the playoffs, throws it off the backboard to John Collins. Like that, when I see that, it's like, that's like untapping an entirely different level of being out there and just not caring.
Yeah.
And that, I feel like that's when you're actually able to be.
Do you have kids?
No.
Like that's what I see when I see my daughter. Like
Really?
I have a daughter who's 3 and I have a son who's 1. They're in pure play mode. Do you have kids?
Yeah.
No.
Okay. Yeah. Like
He's on his way. He just got married.
Oh, congratulations,
Yeah.
man.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's just like raw, unfiltered, unfiltered raw play. It's really like amazing to see. And the times that I'm with them, you know, like our schedules are very similar. Like I'm on the road a lot, I'm traveling a lot, and then when I'm with them, like I have these windows, and they remind me of that, of like what it would be like to just be present in this moment, do voices, do characters, like sing. I'm not good at singing, like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like she sings, but
Right.
I'll sing with her. Like it's all of those things of just like, yeah, I just don't care. And I had to go to my first parent teacher conference. This is like last week. And they were like, yeah, she sometimes doesn't care. And it can be annoying at times, but it's really funny and endearing. And my wife is telling me, you got to like tell her to like tighten it up a little bit. And I told her, I had like this conversation, like we got into it philosophically in the Honda Odyssey. And like we closed the doors and we had this like full on conversation. I was just like, babe, there are 2 types of people in this world. There are rule followers and rule breakers. And I was like, I just like went on this fucking crazy rant. I was like, the capital markets disproportionately reward rule breakers. And I like started giving her all these examples. I was just like Elon Musk, Jake Paul, Kanye West, like all these people. I'm like,
Paul gets a nod.
yeah. I was
true.
like, do they follow the rules? They're just like, okay, these are the rules. They're like, we're not following the rules. And I was like, now, we have to basically teach her to break the rules up until the point that she ends up in an orange jumpsuit. Everything
Right.
pre that,
Just on the other side.
Yeah. But by the way, like we live in Connecticut. It's all like hedge fund managers and war criminals. They're all on the line of orange jumpsuit. They're all, you know what I mean? I work at Raytheon. Like they're all right there. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. Anyways, like that was a like a reminder to myself of just like, how do I always stay in that thing of play? And then this is just more philosophical. Have you had an opportunity to talk to Chris Bosh?
Yeah. He's been around the facility.
He's been around the facility?
He was living in Miami. I think he still lives in Miami.
I feel like his insight, I've always wanted to chat with him. I think one of the insights he might have, and I would love to ask him about that. One of the most interesting things I think about fame and being a public figure is you go through multiple deaths of ego. Like Duncan Robinson as a character, every time you play and then you open up House of Highlights or you open up Twitter, you as this avatar like live and die multiple times. You're like, God damn, I had a great game against the Bucks. Like you feel this like rebirth. You have a bad game. You're like, damn, they're roasting me. Like you feel this death. You go undrafted. You go back to the G League. You get cut. They don't pick up the contract. You end up out of the league. Like you experience a type of death that other people perhaps don't.
Right.
You know what I mean? Where it's like you feel like rebirth and death at the same time. I think one of the interesting things that I would love to know from like Chris is like somebody who's witnessed multiple highs, lows, health highs and lows, all these different things, being part of a big championship team, like WWE walkout, we're not going to win 5, 6, 7, 8. Seeing that to like, I remember being on like a commercial flight with him and like nobody was going up to Chris Bosh and we were just at baggage claim together. Just like, all right, I'm just going to pick up my Samsonite and keep it moving. But that is what it means to be a human. That is the cosmic joke. Everything that we live to know and love dies and perishes.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm getting like really deep. But how do you make sense of that and then laugh at the cosmic joke and have fun along the way? To me, that's the real like win.
I think Chris is a really good example too, because we were having a team conversation last year when we were kind of going through a rough patch as a team, and Coach Spo referenced CB, Chris Bosh, when he came to Miami and sacrificed. I mean, he was incredible in Toronto. He was great in Miami as well. But I think he was 25 or maybe 26 when he decided. I think it was 25 when he decided to basically take a back seat. He was multiple time All-Star, best player, face of the franchise.
Totally.
And to have at that young of an age. So last year when I'm sitting in the locker room, that's younger than I was at that point. I'm 27 years old. I'm old.
Are you old by NBA standards?
Yeah, I did 5 years of high school and 5 years of college. Called it the 10-year plan. So really took my time with it.
Did you have bad grades? Is that what you did 5 years?
No, Yeah, I mean, no, I was solid in the classroom. It was more so to pursue
eligibility and all that
basketball opportunities. I was a late bloomer, so I needed to take my time with it. But to have the mental maturity and perspective at that young of an age to understand that and know that you're likely, and maybe at that point he didn't even know what he was getting into, but like he was the butt of the joke for a lot of the time, the Big Three's time in Miami.
Right.
Like for so much of that stretch.
Right.
But you talk to anybody that was a part of the inner workings of it, and he was what moved it forward.
Right.
The fact that somebody at his age and his ability was able to kind of step into that role and kind of like navigate it really seamlessly.
Right.
But I don't know. It's a fantastic point. Just about whether it be performing on, a floor or
and totally. And also like his perspective of like, he's got a beautiful family. He's got beautiful children. Right. And so much of like the commentary is just like, yo, what happened to you? And it's understanding like the marathon of life. Cause sometimes I'm 35, right? And sometimes I get into my head about like where I'm at and where I want to be and all that stuff. And I'll sometimes play this out with my friends. I'll be like, who do you think has a better life? Like who actually got the last laugh in this thing called life? Was it Steve Kerr or Michael Jordan? And I'm talking about like capital L life. I'm talking about divorce court. I'm talking about settlements. I'm talking about lawyers. I'm talking about kids talking to you or not. I'm talking about like real capital L life. And I think the times that I've gotten to meet Steve Kerr, like the fact that he's of that age, he's like cogent, of clear mind, of sound mind and body, of sound mind, and everything that he's been through with his family. If you know that what he went through, like losing his father, all of that stuff. You look at like that story, that's a fucking Steven Spielberg movie. And he's on this side of it being like, yeah, man, like I have beautiful relationships with so many different people. That to me is also part of like understanding and like taking a little bit less pressure off all these, like the current moment that we're in, where sometimes I take it too seriously.
Yeah. I don't want to put you on the spot, but the football and jazz point reminded me of something that you shared on a podcast that we were on earlier.
Yeah.
That I want you to unpack, if you will, here,
okay.
Which was the David Bowie quote.
Okay. Yeah, that's a great David Bowie quote.
That also, like hearing you talk about that, I was talking about that for like 2 weeks after that podcast of like of how that connected for me.
Yeah.
And I don't want to take it, so I want you to run it.
Sure.
But you were just talking about the decisions you make in your career and how you go about your decision making process.
Totally. So David Bowie, R.I.P., one of the greatest musicians of all time, has this great quote about as an artist, when you're doing new work and you're traversing into new territory, how to go about it, how to think about it. And again, I'm a person who really vibes with first principles, trying to understand the epistemology about why I'm doing what I'm doing, right? And he talks about anytime you do new work, think about traveling from the shallow end of the pool to the deep end of the pool. And all you want to do is as you leave the shallow end of the pool and you go to the deep end of the pool and you start to feel your toes leave the shallow end. We've all felt it when you go from 3.5. Remember being a kid, you go from 3.5 to 5 and you go, oh fuck, it's getting real. Like six is crazy. Like your big brother, big sister, like they're in 6, but you're leaving 3.5 and you feel your toes leave and you start to float. He's like, that's the sweet spot. Like you don't have to dive into the deep end, but that's where you're starting to do really interesting work. And I try to think about the new creative choices that I make, and think about just my toes leaving the ground for the first time. And like just today, there's 2 big choices that we're making in terms of lighting design and stage design. One of the things that we've gotten rid of that I kind of shed from all my old work is a lot of the stage design in my old work has these sharp squares and rectangles. Homecoming King, Mark Janowitz designed this like big kind of rectangular tile world. Patriot Act obviously had this, was again designed by Janowitz, had these hard lines and like these stacked things. It looked like I was performing inside of an Apple Watch, funny enough. This one is such a soft Turellian world. Like that's just a new thing. I'm still using things that you're familiar with in my work, but it's a much softer, much more intimate world. You can't see this on camera, but we're already doing like wardrobe design and costume design. It's like I'm just adding new elements to what I was doing from before. but I'm trying to make it kind of new and innovative in some ways where people are like, oh shit, like this feels like it's all part of this new world. It's not wildly different. I didn't like bleach my hair or whatever. Do you know what I mean? I don't look completely different, but it's one of those things where it's like I'm starting to feel, hey, this is a new chapter for me. This is a new thing, and I can feel my feet leaving the ground. And I really liked that. I really like that idea, because so much of what people talk about is like, hey, just dive into the deep end, just go for it. And I'm like, well, wait, but is this in your lane?
Right.
Like, is this even within the realm of possibility? Take it back to the Celebrity All-Star Game. I remember Ray Allen. They have you play with like NBA players too. Before we walked out into the tunnel, Ray Allen was like, listen, you guys aren't athletes. He like looked at me and Bad Bunny and Quavo, and he's like, you guys aren't athletes. Don't do anything where you'll blow out your knee on national television. So he's like, take it easy. And I remember, it was like,
don't dive into the deep end.
Yeah, it was like he was like, don't try to cross somebody up. Don't try to dunk if you can't. Yeah. Don't go for a steal that you know, don't try to play a passing lane that you know you're not fast enough to play. He's like, you don't want to get injured on national television. It was that like Space Jam moment when he's with like the Looney Tunes where he's just like, hey man, like, yeah, you guys are the Toon Squad. It's, you know what I mean? Like just stay in your lane.
It's like calculated risk. And that's kind of how I took it. And I don't know how familiar you are with my story. So I played Division III basketball. I was playing in front of 1,200 people, maybe on a good night, on a Friday night packed gym game. Yeah. And I went through that process of like, okay, I have this opportunity to transfer to Michigan, which is, you know, Big Ten, you know, sending people to the NBA, all that sort of stuff.
Right.
And that was a moment where it wasn't like, okay, I'm going to do this reckless thing, but it was like, all right, this is uncomfortable, but this is pushing me in the right direction.
Totally.
And that's I love the sentiment, because it felt like for many of my life's decisions that when I look back on and realize how they turned out, it was moments like those where you kind of have that feeling.
Right. Like nobody's asking you to do like lip sync battle, and you're like, now you have to do like a big like song and dance, whatever it is, like that thing of like, you're like, what am I doing? What is this?
The Masked Singer or something.
Yeah. Duncan Robinson on the Masked Singer. Oh, that'd be great.
So Dave, check this out. There's big news from my favorite home security company. Simply Safe just launched their new wireless outdoor security camera. That's right, Simply Safe, the system that U.S. News and World Report names Best Home Security System of 2021, just got even better. This brand new outdoor security camera is engineered with all the advanced tech and security features you want and need to help keep you and your family safe.
Dunk, it has an ultra-wide 140-degree field of view, so you can keep watch over your entire yard. It has a 1080p HD resolution with an 8x zoom. That means you can zoom in and clearly see things like faces, license plate, capture critical evidence in case anything happens. It has a built-in spotlight with color night vision, so you can keep an eye on what's going on day and night. Super simple to set up, usually just takes a few minutes. And it has an easy to remove rechargeable battery, so it doesn't need an outlet. It can go anywhere on your property. This camera has it all, Dunk, and it integrates with your Simply Safe home security system, extending its protection to the outside. Together, it means every door, window, and room are protected, and now your property will be too. Nothing better than feeling protected.
No, feeling protected is very important. And if you want to learn more about the exciting new Simply Safe wireless outdoor security camera, visit simplysafe.com/longshot. What's more, Simply Safe is celebrating this new camera by offering 20% off your entire new system and your first month of monitoring service free when you enroll in interactive monitoring. Again, that's simplysafe.com/longshot.
Dunk, there are a couple things that I gotta admit I'm kind of high maintenance with. Like, I will not budge on a diet. I'm really trying to eat healthy right now. I will not budge on furniture. I need comfy furniture. Like, if I'm sitting down to watch a game, I need to be comfortable in that chair or on that couch. I think you probably have some of these things too. We all have uncompromising standards in other parts of our lives. So why skip out on quality where we spend a third of our lives sleeping? The husband and wife team that started Boll & Branch realized no sheets on the market met their standards for quality, so they created their own super soft and expertly crafted signature sheets.
What a beautiful concept. You don't find what you're looking for. You just go out there and start it on your own. Shout out to Boll & Branch for that. But I've used the sheets, Dave. I got to tell you, not sure what the thread count is, but it is next level. Top tier all the way through. Give you a great night's sleep. And I just noticed a difference when I'm sleeping on Boll and Branch versus any of the competitors, if you will. The style and the color schemes are fantastic. I'm more of kind of like an earth tones kind of guy, like low key. And they totally just fit the ambiance of what I'm going for in my bedroom. And not only that, they have a fantastic unboxing experience, which I didn't even know I needed until I opened Boll and Branch. All in all, just a fantastic product that I thoroughly enjoyed. And now I can't imagine living without.
Couldn't agree more. You can experience uncompromising comfort with the best-selling 100% organic cotton signature hemmed sheets. The cloud weight, super soft sateen weave gets softer with every wash, crafted to the highest standards and attention to detail from sourcing to packaging. The perfect balance of weight and breathability to pamper warm or cool sleepers through any season. Give your bed the White House treatment with sheets that 3 presidents have fallen in love with, Dunk.
Wow. That's a pretty good sell right there. Now check this out. To experience an entirely new standard of comfort, visit bollandbranch.com. Get 15% off your first set of sheets with promo code LONGSHOT. That's BOLL and branch.com. Promo code LONGSHOT. I gotta ask about your fandom, Sacramento Kings.
Sure.
Where does it fall right now? I mean, the Kings are in an interesting place.
Yeah.
I can't really imagine what it would be like to be a fan of them. And that's not like throwing shade.
Who are you a fan of growing up?
So this is like documented. I don't like to say it, but this is like kind of well documented. I grew up a Celtics fan. And now, like,
but why is that touchy?
Because like Paul Pierce was my favorite player. Then there was like this bitter rivalry between Pierce and D Wade, and I ended up in Miami, and it was just kind of like, Miami and the Celtics. There's a little bit of
for real rivalry or immediate rivalry, like fun rivalry, right?
Honestly, like
you don't even know.
I don't know. I really think there's like some bad blood there. Like,
oh wow, okay.
There was a comment. Pat Riley made a comment about Danny Ainge. That kind of ended up picking up some traction in the media. Like, I think it's at some point, if the media is talking about it enough, it like kind of becomes real.
Right.
But anyways, Sacramento Kings.
Yes.
Like, I'm just curious, and once again, I'm not a GM.
I'm a masochist. I love pain. I love suffering. It's also a better story. It's such a better story when people are just like, how when you meet Patriots fans, you're like, oh, cool, you're a Patriots fan.
I'm a Patriots.
Yeah, but it's like, what is that? Or you're just like,
it was great. It was fantastic when I was growing up. Now I feel like I've like kind of, I don't want to say outgrown it, but like I like kind of root for the Dolphins now as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I grew up a Patriots fan.
No, you want a good like hero's journey. You want an arc. You want a good, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And then what's the worst about when you're a fan of like a winning team besides the winning is, I'm sure, great. You get what I call hoopers. You know what hoopers are? Like people who are just like if you've ever been in like a living room watching like a finals game, there's just like other people that are like spouses and partners of the people that are actual fans, and they're like, I love LeBron, and you're like, I don't like LeBron anymore. Right. because you always want to feel like you're into the band that nobody else is really into.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Like you whenever you're at school, you always want, like, you felt a certain way when you wore sneakers. You're like, I don't want everybody else wearing these. So, yeah. So with the Kings, it's hometown pride. I love the narrative of picking and sticking. Everybody these days are like super fickle.
Wants to flip flop. Yeah.
All these, like a lot of people that I talk to that are like, I'm not even a fan of teams anymore. I'm just a fan of players. I'm like, yo, we're lost as a society. When people are like, I don't have a team. I'm a man with no country. Like, people are just like, we've lost as a society. You got to pick and stick. To me, like, professional sports is the last vestige of civic pride we have. I'm from Boston. I'm a Red Sox fan. I'm from, I grew up in Davis. Yeah. I'm a Kings fan. Yeah. So when people are like, you're a Kings fan? Why? I'm like, I wear it as a badge of pride.
I love that you do. I also think it's now gotten so sticky, right? Because people, the player empowerment movement has led to changing jerseys and all sorts of things.
Right.
And it's also muddied the waters, like you said, of like, who are you actually a fan of? Like to be honest with you, and now I'm less partial, but like when I was growing up, my least favorite type of person was, I'm a so-and-so fan because of LeBron. Like they just followed him wherever he went. Like that bothered me.
Yeah.
That bothered me so much.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
how do I feel about the way they're playing?
Yeah, like
I mean, it's been rough. Like we haven't even gotten into the playoffs in I don't know how many years. It's been horrible.
What answer are you looking for?
Yeah, what are you trying? Like, what gem are you looking? What insight are you trying to get from me? Like,
I want like a hot take. Is really if you don't have one, it's okay.
They're coming out of the West this year.
Yeah, I mean, look, I've every year I'm on a text thread with all my friends that I grew up with, that went to high school with. We've known each other. We're like Sandlot group of friends. We've known each other since like elementary school. They watch basketball way more religiously than me. I'm like, what are our chances at just going 8th seed? Because there's nothing better. Last time I remember when we were in the 8th seed, God damn, I'm dating myself, 1996. The Sacramento Bee gave like a little clip out in the newspaper that said Rattle Seattle. We were playing the Sonics. This is the year the Sonics went the distance and they played against the Bulls and then they got smoked in 6. But I remember like having like the Rattle Seattle like sign. I'm waiting. All I want is a first round playoff run. Like, I want to fly to Sacramento. Mm-hmm. I want to sit courtside next to Vivek, and I want a first round playoff run. That's all I want.
Now you just need the 10th seed with the play-in.
Yeah, with the play-in.
More attainable.
But we didn't make the play-in either.
I know. But it's there. It's more attainable.
Well, listen, we don't want to take too much of your time. You've been incredibly gracious with that.
Thanks, man.
But thank you so much for having us.
Thanks for having me on the pod, man.
No, this is a blast. Hopefully we can do it again. Hopefully I can catch your show at some point.
Please. Are you going to be able to come to the show?
I'm in Michigan.
Detroit out tomorrow.
I'll be in Detroit.
We come to Detroit?
I'll be in Detroit.
Come to Detroit, so I'll get you info.
We'll make it happen.
Happy birthday, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Because this is September 23rd.
This is airing.
Oh, this is coming out on my 36th birthday.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Unbelievable, man.
Yeah, so everyone please, try to be kind. It's my birthday today.
Yeah, come on.
Be kind in the comments. It's my birthday, man. I'm an old man. I'm 36.
Come on.
What are we doing?
But yeah, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, man.
And looking forward to doing it at some point.
Great, man. Yeah, cheers.